You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
I thought you were taking the night off.
I was, but something came up.
Cordelia told me the truth.
That's got to be a first.
As long as you're here, perhaps you could be of some help.
We were investigating. Somebody's been digging up the bodies of dead girls.
I know. We found some of them.
You mean like 2 of the 3?
I mean, like some of them. Like parts.
It was horrible. Angel saved me from an arm. God, there were so many parts. They were everywhere. Why are these terrible things always happening to me?
Karma!
So much for our zombie theory.
So much for all our theories.
I don't get it. Why go to all the trouble to dig up 3 girls only to chop them up and throw them away? It doesn't make any sense, especially from a time management standpoint.
Hello, and welcome back to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, once more with spoilers, a podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one at a time for the second time, this time with spoilers. Look, I got a thing, you maybe have a thing, maybe we could have a thing. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
Hey, call me Kristin Russo. Miss Russo was my father. Today, we are discussing Season 2, Episode 2, Some Assembly Required.
Some Assembly Required was written by Ty King, directed by Bruce Seth Green, no relation, and originally aired on September 22nd, 1997, just 2 months before I turned Sweet 16. Our spoiler-free coverage of this episode originally aired on January 17th, 2017.
Just 1 month after I turned 36. This is the one, according to IMDb, where 2 science club nerds use body parts to create the, quote, perfect girlfriend, end quote, for a teenager who has been brought back from the dead. Setting the scene for the trio. Let's begin with the duo. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I wish that I didn't. Look, for those of you just joining us, here is our spoiler warning. Into every generation, a spoiler warning is born. We alone wield the strength and skill to discuss things from any of the following sources: all 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, plus the canonical Dark Horse comics, plus Angel the TV series and any related canonical comics, plus anything that currently exists inside of the Buffyverse, and also anything that might be announced or released or ordered to pilot or making known various casting updates.
Yeah.
as we go.
Yeah, Jenny, we made this happen. I am convinced. I am convinced that by manifesting a once more, we've manifested a once more. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people like to talk about, oh, we started a podcast in the fall of 2016, and then, unfortunately, some presidential election results that we don't care for occurred. And then we started the podcast again at the end of 2024, and some similar election results that we do not care for occurred.
God.
A lot of people try to draw that connection. Not enough people talking about the fact that we started the podcast again, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar said, and also we'll start the show again? Question mark? Exclamation point.
So actually, you're all welcome. We would be remiss to not say, of course, that since the last time we recorded an episode, we have seen Sarah Michelle Gellar FaceTiming or Zooming or whatever it is she did with Ryan Kira Armstrong, asking Ryan if she would be her chosen one, a.k.a. the new Slayer, whatever that means, because we really don't know quite yet. But it sounds like Allison Hannigan is going to be returning for this pilot that has been ordered, and that both Willow and Buffy...
When you say sounds like, could you cite your sources or declare the degree of certainty?
Okay, well, so no, because I don't know if you think I'm an actual legit podcaster, but I'm not. No, my sources are things that I read, and I don't know where I read them, but I promise to keep my sources.
Oh my
I promise to keep my sources close to my heart, but I do know that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Allison Hannigan have been doing press together.
Yeah, sure, but you're gonna get everybody riled up, Kristin.
Hold your horses. I'm not. Hold your wild horses, Jenny. I'm not done. They have been, doing press together, and I read somewhere that I know was credible that Willow and Buffy will both have teenagers, so they will both be parents of teens. Obviously, Ryan Kira Armstrong likely playing Buffy's child, who is a Slayer, but I don't know that for a fact. It seems like that's what's going on. I also read some stuff that maybe was a little less credible about the new gang. Basically, like a Slayer and her pals is what we're used to, and I believe that there's going to be, and I read a rumor, a fact, I don't know, that perhaps there will be an openly gay Scooby as part of the gang, which, like, that's cool, that's great, but we did get there, so let's see what more we can do to bring in some additional viewpoints and additional identities into the crew, but we'll see. Jenny, did you try to cite my source while I was talking?
Source uncitable.
Okay. It sounds like a site for sore eyes. Source uncitable.
My eyes are sore.
Look while
There's a lot of pollen.
I'll look while we talk. Jenny, real quick, we've been talking for, it feels like a million years now, about your name, Jenny the Enthusor, which I think is your official name. But but Diana wrote in, and I just felt it was worth mentioning that perhaps you could be Jenny the Error.
Wow. Yeah, that is me.
And you didn't do your air horn this time, and I'm thankful for that. But I do think that.
What are you trying to say?
I mean, I've heard the air horn many a time.
And wouldn't you say it becomes more beautiful and more melodious every time?
I wouldn't, but you might.
Well, fuck.
Something that I do like to listen to, Jenny, are the beautiful songs that you created in our first run of the podcast.
Me? Little old me?
Little old you. That is so correct. You're little Jenny and you are little old Jenny.
Oh, God.
Anyway, at the end of this episode, we'll be playing the song that was written for Some Assembly Required back in 2017. And if you stay tuned after the song, you will hear Jenny and I talking in current day about the making of that song.
Shall we to the episode?
Yes, to the episode, except for I did find my source, and I have to eat crow. Is that a thing? What does that mean? Why do you say eat crow?
Eating crow is definitely a thing in that there are crows and you can eat them if you must.
Okay, Jenny, you figure out what eating crow means while I talk to everyone about
Be humiliated by having to admit one's defeats or mistakes, Kristin.
Was eating crows something that was humiliating at a certain point in time? TBD. In the meantime, let me tell you that the article that I had read is from The Wrap, and the sort of sub-headline is actress Sarah Michelle Gellar and co-star Allison Hannigan share how their characters will have developed with them. We used to play teens and now we have teens. That is right on the edge. So I read it because share how their characters will have developed with them. We used to play teens and now we have teens, okay?
Yeah.
Have I read the article? No, I have not. But that's the subheadline that I read that made me think.
Who in 2025 has read an article? Absolutely no one. Kristin, look, this is so appropriate. I'm so glad I get to deliver unto you from the Origin Theories section of the Eating Crow Wikipedia article. Literally, eating a crow is traditionally seen as being distasteful. The crow, if understood to be a type of raven, is one of the birds listed in Leviticus chapter 11 as being unfit for eating.
Wow. So you can't eat shrimp or crows. Interesting. Also, just come on, though. Why are Allison Hannigan and Sarah Michelle Gellar doing fucking press together if Willow Rosenberg isn't returning to fucking the pilot? Come on.
I mean,
clearly
they're either trolling.
No, come on.
Or, I mean, yeah.
Come on.
The way that Sarah has been steering this ship to me has just felt like the whole time it's felt like she's like, I'm getting this show made.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Anyway, I promise by season 2, episode 3, School Hard, a little episode that we'll be doing next, which isn't that important. No one that important arrives to Sunnydale in that episode. I promise that I will have sources and I will be responsible from there forward. Anything.
I just feel like it's the least you could do, Kristin.
Agree. I honestly agree with you.
If we want Hulu.com to graciously service us with advanced screeners of the Buffy reboot that it will inevitably either make of its own free will or after being strong-armed by Sarah Michelle Gellar and her internet army of Buffy devotees, then we simply must be responsible about reporting and fact-checking.
So the divide between Jenny and I is that Jenny is like, and I really hope we get screeners. And I'm like, clearly we're getting screeners. I really hope that they find a way to work us into the show. That's where I set my sights. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? Actually, if I had one wish, if I had one wish about the reboot, it would be that there's not a podcaster anywhere in the story.
Oh, we don't need to be podcasters.
Oh, you just want a part. I'm thinking of spoilers for the Halloween H2. I think
yeah.
the
newest
first installment of the H2O, the new Jamie Lee Curtis ones. There's a fresh trilogy, right? The first one, the first people to die are a podcaster, and I don't know if the other person was the podcast producer or what.
Yeah, it was
people
somehow
trying to
related to the podcast.
Do a true crime podcast
be a great way. I would be
about
happy
Michael Myers.
Yeah, I'd be happy to simply have one scene and be killed off immediately.
No, I want. Okay, you know how they didn't have cell phones for the whole show until the very last season.
Yeah,
keep podcasts out of art.
That's fine. All I'm saying is I don't want a podcast inside of the Buffyverse, okay? All I want is for there to be Bronze 2.0 and wherever the new Sunnydale is located. Is it going to be Cleveland? Jury's out. And I want Jenny to play on the stage, and I want to be in the audience and bit by a vampire. That's all I want. Can I be bit by a vampire? I don't need to have a name. I don't even need to, nothing. I just want to be a part of it. I just feel like I've devoted 9 years and counting of my life to this television show, and maybe I could get bit by a vampire or stake a vampire or fucking be at the nail salon sitting next to somebody. I don't even need anything big to happen. There's
Just as long as you could get A, on camera, and B, like a free mani-pedi out of it.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm being real, Jenny, the only thing I actually really want is for you to play the Bronze 2.0. Like, I don't actually need to be on anything or in anything. I truly just would like for that to happen. But they could put me on Glock.
That's exactly what a good friend would wish for their best friend. Okay, look. We're in the cemetery.
We're in.
If you can believe it. Buffy is playing with a yo-yo. And while I am a yo-yo enthusiast, I don't see the yo-yo for Buffy. You know?
Well, okay, but think about Buffy. Think about the Buffy that like has the lollipop in her mouth, you know, sitting outside of the Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like that Buffy.
Sitting outside of the Los Angeles whatever. I believe it's her high school.
Yeah.
I believe 139-year-old Angel is looking at her at her high school.
Right. But I just feel like maybe, well, I don't know. A yo-yo now would actually fit that image of a teenager, like snapping gum and like whatever and yo-yoing. But I have to agree with you. In the 90s, a yo-yo was more of a nerd's game, not like a cool.
As a nerd who had yo-yos in
right.
the 90s, can affirm all my fellow enthusiasts in the listenership that looked like just like a straight up Duncan butterfly to me. Does anybody have a different take? Let me know. Let Kristin know at hello@bufferingcast.com.
Jesus Christ. Oh, you know, and I want to say this. If you're a current nerd listening to this, I have to say, like a current teenage nerd, I have to say that as two, I would consider both of us nerds of different flavors of nerd, you know, musical theater nerd, yo-yo nerd. It's not to be confused with Yo-Yo Ma. Anyway, I feel like a lot of the things that we liked are now actually really cool. So if you are a current version nerd, just know that all you need is like a couple decades and everyone will actually be like, wow, you were cool the whole time. All right.
Buffy has trig homework, which sent me down a furious Googling path of when do you take trig, but it's within the scope of the United States broad educational curriculum for a sophomore to be taking trig.
Okay. I would have thought it was later on as well.
I don't think I ever took trig.
No, trig was like in my school. Trig was what you took if you were like if you had gotten through the other maths. Like it was like the AP kind of vibe. Anyway, we basically Angel shows up at the cemetery. Stephen Korshak, the vampire. Okay, I am only saying this vampire's name because I saw the like tombstone or whatever and saw Stephen Korshak on the thing, and I looked up the name because a lot of times in the Buffyverse and in plenty of other television shows, there's little Easter eggs, you know, and you look up the name of this vampire and you find, oh, it's actually one of the camera guys, or it's like, you know, this Marty Noxon's husband is named Stephen Korshak, whatever. I didn't find that, but it took me to the like Wiki fan page. And most of you listening probably have been to the Wiki fan situation once or twice or a million times. But if you haven't been there, I need you to understand how intricate this system of information is. I looked up Stephen Korshak and it said, Stephen Korshak was a vampire. When he awoke, Buffy Summers was waiting for him, but got into an argument with Angel and was distracted at the time. Korshak attacked her, but she ultimately dusted him with a broken shovel handle. Filed under vampires, males, deceased individuals, and Sunnydale residents. And you can link on any of those things to find all the other things that are under those categories. It is magical.
I love that there's just a page for males.
Males.
So Angel shows up and he's like, I heard you were on the hunt. From who? Did he swing by the library?
Oh, who told Angel that she was on the hunt?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the episode, Angel shows up and is like, I saw fire and I figured you'd be here. And I'm like, I feel like maybe Angel he's just trying to make conversation. You know, he just needs some stuff. He just has some stuff to talk about. Also, LaToya, producer, special guest star, special agent, LaToya Ferguson, in her production notes, writes about Yes.
First on the call sheet, LaToya Ferguson.
Wrote in her production notes about this line, I heard you were on the hunt. LaToya says, I'm just noting, once again, the show is still calling it hunting instead of patrolling, a point that kickstarts Buffy's moral dilemma / need to get in touch with her slayerness in season 5 when Dracula calls her out. LaToya says, I feel like the actual transition maybe comes either when Kendra shows up to highlight the differences between her and Buffy's approaches, or when Faith shows up to highlight those same differences, but darker. And that's a really astute and important point, right? The difference between hunting or patrolling. Are you seeking out vampires to kill, or are you simply killing the vampires that pose a threat that are popping up in Sunnydale? Two different things.
Well, wouldn't you say, like, isn't it kind of fair to say that seeking out vampires to kill is a preventative measure?
Yes, but I think, and I mean, this is why I actually need LaToya live here on mic, because I think that, like, the division of it all is, what if a vampire isn't bothering anybody? How do you know? Are you assuming all vampires are evil? Are you hunting them? I mean, that is a different thing than defending human beings from them, you know, seeking them out to kill them.
The only way that they can survive is by drinking deep of the blood of the living.
Yeah, but I mean, Angel's doing just fine with drinking deep of the blood of the butcher, so.
Yeah, but he has a soul and therefore an incentive.
And maybe when LaToya joined, do you know that we found out, if you don't listen to our Watcher's Diaries, you might not know this, but we found out that LaToya's favorite episode of the entire series is Passion. Passion. So maybe when LaToya joins us for Passion, or even sooner than that, we'll hear a little bit more from LaToya about this differentiation between the hunt and patrolling. I'm trying to conjure up what Dracula specifically said, but every time I do it, I just get Xander eating a bug. So I
have a I can't recall exactly, and maybe it's not in anyone's best interest for me to speculate based on what I think I recall, but I have a feeling that he's sort of trying to identify, like, put into Buffy's mind that she has a darkness within her. How do you like my darkness now? You know?
Right.
And that's what he is, like, playing on, but I think that he is using a framework that does not apply to Buffy's situation to try to undermine her certainty in the sacred duty that she is performing.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. Jenny, can we listen to, instead of what we're saying, what Angel and Buffy are saying? Because
yeah,
great.
So, you're here alone?
Yeah. Why?
I just thought you'd have somebody with you. Xander or someone.
Xander.
Or someone.
Nope. Why? Are you jealous?
Oh, Xander? Please. He's just a kid.
Is it because I danced with him?
Danced with is a pretty loose term. Mated with might be a little closer.
Do you think you're being a little unfair? There was one little dance, which I only did to make you crazy. By the way, behold my success.
I am not jealous.
You're not jealous. What, vampires don't get jealous?
See? Whenever we fight, you always bring up the vampire.
Well, I didn't come here to fight.
Not enough concern for the safety of Buffy's poor, abused rotator cuff.
That's what's bothering Angel. He's like, I just wanted to make sure your shoulder was okay.
I guess, you know what? A vampire slayer, preternaturally strong, fast, agile.
That's true.
Incredible reflexes. Maybe extra cartilage or whatever. Tendons. What rotator cuff and ensconcement? What protects your rotator cuff? Please write in at hello@bufferingcast.com. What gets worn away? Frictivized when you are experiencing discomfort with your rotator cuff?
I'm putting my vote in the cartilage bin. So the bin is not made of cartilage. Okay, it's just a bin and it says cartilage.
My bin is made of cartilage.
Oh my God. To shut us both up, let me talk about what LaToya said again. Because okay, first of all, Ann Jealous. I have asked Jenny for an Ann Jealous jingle. Has she given it to us?
Well, let's find out in this very episode.
Jenny, it is Monday, May 19th, and this episode goes up on Wednesday, May 21st. So
I did ask you for supporting vibes, and you have delivered absolutely none to me.
LaToya, okay, so this is important, and most important to Morgan Lutich, but I think also important to the rest of us, because LaToya says about this line, "I'm not jealous, classic Angel." This opening scene highlights why I maintain my status as a Buffy/Angel shipper in the first 3 seasons. The goofiness and immaturity between them is great when it's a high school show. After that, I care for it less and less. Sorry, Morgan, especially when Buffy comes to LA to be a bitch. And, you know, I think what's interesting to me about this is watching Buffy and Angel together in these beginning moments. I also am like, okay, I'm into this, you know, like I am really into their dynamic. I'm into, and we'll talk about the way that this episode ends, but I do really like it. And I think that like when we talk about what, like who we ship the most, it's everything in the bin. And so I like that LaToya was like, I'm a Buffy Angel shipper in the first 3 seasons. And I'm like, oh, well, if I take out like a lot of that other stuff that I don't like as much, then I could see like being invested in this duo more than I am once I've seen all the things that unfold with them.
It's also not a very crowded field in terms of Buffy shipping options through season 3.
True. Owen and Buffy or Angel and Buffy? Scott Hope and Buffy or Angel and Buffy?
Oh, and sorry, Faith and Buffy. The field gets a lot more crowded in season 3.
I know that we've gone on many tangents. I promise to be more focused, but I do just need to ask a question, which is that in this sound clip that we just played, Angel says, "Danced with" is a pretty loose term. "Made it with" might be a little closer. And I thought he said "made it with," right? Mm-hmm. And one of the transcriptions did say "made it with," and the closed caption said "mated with," M-A-T-E-D with.
Yeah, I think it's "made it." I think it's Old Man Angel coming out to play.
Yeah.
You made it with him. Buffy didn't come here to fight, but actually she did, and it's Vampirus Interruptus here at the end of their exchange. In this fight, Angel gets a shovel right to the face, which immediately makes me look ahead to Pat. We get a stake of convenience with the broken over-the-knee shovel shaft. And point of order, when does Angel become like a warrior for good? Because at the beginning of the show, he ain't fighting at all. He has no interest. He's avoiding. And now he's like getting in the mix, but he's also like getting hit in the face with a shovel. But then soon he will be a warrior.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of discrepancy too in like Buffy's strength. I mean, and I think that actually flies through all the seasons. But later when she's fighting Daryl, I'm like, okay, you're trying to tell me that this Frankenstein kid who like died and then was sewn back together by his brother is somehow able to actually take Buffy in a fight? Like that doesn't, strength-wise, that doesn't make any sort of sense. So we just suspend our disbelief for when these folks get stronger canonically. So they're fighting, right? Because of a lot of reasons. Because of Angel being jealous, but also Buffy says, like, you called Xander a kid. Does that mean I'm a kid? Let me tell you that we are still talking about the difference in age between these two and the difference in, mortality between these two 1 season from now. So this is one of the biggest things, right? Angel is 240 ? Buffy is 16, 17, 18. Angel is going to stay in the same body for the rest of his
trapped in an adolescent body.
Buffy is going to age and or die, but spoiler, Buffy doesn't. Well, she does die twice, but she doesn't like die, you know? Anyway, Angel storms off like a pissy little bitch, and Buffy falls in another coffin. How many fucking times is this girl gonna fall in a coffin?
I just feel like we need to look where we're going. In the cemetery and also everywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. But maybe especially so in the cemetery. This grave is beautiful. I mean, you know what? Not a lot of people are giving Chris and Eric credit for the gorgeous grave digging that they've done. I mean, this is a perfect rectangle. Absolutely unbelievable. Great work, boys.
This would simply never happen.
Buffy finds like this dirty white heel and is like, this was not a newly raised vampire. She was dragged from it. I have a question about vampires in the cemetery.
Okay.
Buffy is sitting atop Stephen Korshak's headstone, right? So am I to believe that as the Slayer, she knows that Stephen Korshak died because there were 2 puncture wounds in his neck, okay? But she, out of respect for the family, they allow for the entirety of the ceremonies to happen, the funeral, the burial, etc. And then she sits atop each time this happens and this person is buried, she sits atop the tombstone until they come out of the ground. It just feels laborious to me. It feels... But
maybe it's laborious, but if you have somebody on your team with a red Sharpie at the ready, combing through the local paper and its morbidly detailed descriptions of various citizens' deaths, I feel like that gives you a great advantage. You're not having to do all that legwork yourself. You've got Giles and his marker.
All right.
He doesn't have anything else to do because nobody's coming to the library. So he's got plenty of time to comb through the paper.
Perfect. Wow. So 30 minutes into the episode, let's cut to the credits.
Buffy and Xander walk in on Giles practicing asking out Miss Calendar, lending credence and support to what I just said, which is that Giles has way too much time on his hands. He does not have enough librarianing to do.
Oh, Giles talking to an empty chair. The fact that he sat out an empty chair to practice asking Jenny Calendar out. It's pretty cute, actually. Buffy says, don't say fucking indecorous. Don't say these words that are ridiculous. Speak English instead of whatever they speak in ... Giles. England? They immediately clock that this is Miss Calendar that he's going to be asking out. Giles says something really important, Jenny.
Oh, yeah, he does. What is it?
He says, it's none of your business, which I was so excited about. I was like, when there finally is a none of my business jingle, we need to sample Giles saying none of your business in there.
Indeed.
So Xander is jealous of Angel. Angel is jealous of Xander. Gentlemen, good God.
Boys.
They report back on the grave robbing. Buffy reports back on the grave robbing, and Giles, as always, is so excited. Grave robbing? That's something new. Interesting. They're like, and he's like, terrible thing. Must put a stop to it. Damn it.
It's got too much time.
Buffy says she knows who it is. It's somebody named Meredith Todd, and Giles asks Willow to turn on the computer to please Google Meredith Todd. Willow. Okay. Eric is taking photos of everyone at school like a fucking creep. Please play the patriarchy jingle. The patriarchy!
Interesting that Eric is saying, no, it's not, but, Eric is saying, ooh, look at those legs, and Willow says, no, thank you. But Willow, have you considered looking respectfully?
Maybe, but Willow is really into Chris right here. And, we don't get a ton of real estate in the episode for, Willow and Chris and, that vibe, but it's a kind of cute dynamic, and we're gonna have Oz soon enough. But Chris is a fellow nerd, he's always placing
her
first.
Academic rival.
Yeah, he's placing first at the science fair every time he enters, and Willow is placing second, and they just have something that's cute and also really nice, because even as this episode unfolds and we learn that Chris has sort of resurrected his brother and lost his brother really tragically, Willow is really in defense of Chris. Like, you know, he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot of loss, and he's been really focused on death, and don't go too hard on him, and on and on. Fucking LaToya points out that Cordelia enters the chat and is like, I am so annoyed that they're making participation mandatory. I don't think anyone should have to do anything educational in school if they don't want to. LaToya making the point that this tells us that Cordelia is in the same advanced science class as Willow and Chris, which would actually track because Buffy and Xander are not participating in the science fair. So it's mandatory for folks in this class. Cordelia, women in STEM, great.
Yeah, women in STEM are always doing science projects like tomato, fruit, or vegetable.
To be fair, she's like, I just didn't want to have to do the project.
No, totally. Okay, so Eric is like, oh, Chris, Cordelia's so fine. She'd be perfect for us. And Chris says at full volume, don't be an idiot. She's alive. Boys, you're in a public hallway. I need you to just rein it in. You're so bad at this.
In the library, Cordelia busts in and says, sorry to interrupt your little undead playgroup. Hit the Cordelia jingle. Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
Yes, Cordelia's looking for help with her project, and Willow, without looking up, is like, it's a fruit. Cordelia's like, I would have asked Chris, but that would have brought up too many painful memories about Daryl. And look, I simultaneously love Cordelia, and I feel badly for her loss, but also the way in which she, I'm picturing like a woman in a simply gigantic dress with like pining, like sexy Bo Peep kind of dress. Yes. You know, with one hand to her forehead, you know, and she's like, it's very
like a handkerchief, sort of like also in that hand that's on her forehead.
Yeah,
totally. She gets a there because she's like, why isn't
it's actually everyone else sucks in the scene about this. I mean, you know what I mean? It's played for laughs, but it's also like, hey, this girl experienced something really awful. Yeah. And everyone's like, Giles is like, they're there.
Yeah. And so I think something that's big in this episode is this is a spoiler-full podcast. So the seedlings of Xander and Cordelia are pretty apparent here, especially when we get to the end of the episode. LaToya let us know that there's a line change here that she thinks might have to do with it being like a little bit too hitting the nail on the head with that we're foreshadowing Cordy and Xander because the line there was actually written as Xander's line. Xander, without looking at Cordelia and without feeling, pats her shoulder. This is right after Buffy and Xander walk in, and Buffy says, being called an idiot tends to take people out of the dating mood. Xander says, it actually kind of turns me on, Buffy, I fear you. Okay, this 100%, LaToya says, paves the way for Xander and Cordelia. And so maybe they changed it to, like, give us one less, hey, you know what's going to happen? Hey, you guys know what's going to happen? Etc.
Kristin, I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, why is it that every conversation you have has the word corpse in it? No answer. Okay, got it. And then my other question for you is, would you rather be dug up by a demon who eats the flesh of the dead to absorb their souls, or dug up by a voodoo practitioner?
A demon who eats the flesh of the dead? No, I would
absorb
rather...
their soul.
I would wait for their souls.
Did you watch this episode?
Sorry. Well, yeah, but I didn't watch it, introspectively. I didn't put
Okay. Well, Giles has two theories about what could be going on here. Meredith and these other two girls died in a car accident. Meredith was dug up. Giles is like, well, my two top theories are she could have been dug up by a demon who eats the flesh of the dead to absorb their souls, or by a voodoo practitioner.
I just feel like I would pick the first one because I don't think you can absorb my soul if I'm already buried underground. So I think you're actually going to fail at your attempt.
You think that? Well, what do you think these demons are? They've built their whole lifestyle around absorbing the soul of the dead by eating their flesh.
Maybe my soul is strong enough to.
Oh, this is some real Kristin Russo shit. Okay.
I choose neither, Jenny. I'm not.
Mine's not like other souls.
This is exactly why I'm not being buried underneath the ground. Okay, because you will not be able to dig me up, no matter whomst you are.
Okay.
Okay, it's BYO shovel night at the cemetery. Big rivalry with DJ Night No Cover at the Bronze is BYO shovel at the cemetery. The boys are digging the hole. The girls are sitting up against a headstone gossiping. I love this. Xander's like, I love that Xander says femmes. If you femmes could help us out here. And Buffy says, men dig up the corpses and women stay home with the babies. LOL.
This is what I always say. However, it is cruel and unusual that Buffy is luxuriating and chilling with her super strength.
Yeah, but you know what? It's nice. The girl needs a break sometimes.
Uh-huh.
The girls are gossiping about Angel and that he was jealous. We get the first iteration of love makes you do the wacky. Willow says this to Buffy. We will hear it from Buffy later on, saying it to Angel directly. And this is also where we learn about Daryl. Daryl was a big football star. Cordelia was sad about Daryl because it seems like Cordelia had a big crush on Daryl. She's younger than Daryl, and Daryl never paid attention to her. We learn that later, but she was heartbroken when he died. He was a big football star, and he died in a rock climbing accident. You know what sucks? You live in Sunnydale, and you actually just die from rock climbing. That sucks.
Well, maybe he was climbing some rocks. Maybe he was scaling, a particularly challenging V8. And then a vampire popped out from behind a tree and spooked him.
Right.
And
it was
fell.
Still a demon was involved.
I heard that and I was like, bullet dodged. So glad I'm not rock climbing anymore.
Oh, I thought you meant bullet dodged. Like, thank God Daryl died from rock climbing and he didn't have to face the demon.
Also,
that would have surely killed him anyway.
What a luxury to die a natural death. Yeah, in Sunnydale, for sure.
So Giles and Xander are down there and neither one of them wants to open the coffin. So Buffy does jump down into yet another grave. And opens it. This is a great, just a shout to like the direction in this episode because the shot is really cool. It's sort of like one of the classic shots in the television show. The coffin opens and we get the coffin POV and we see all of their faces sort of looking down to see ? And we don't know what they see. We cut to Cordelia in the parking lot. My first note, Jenny, nice shell tops, girl. I had these shell tops too. Love to see them.
I love, guys, if we don't get this down by tomorrow, no one's going to be led by our cheers. Cordelia on the squad.
Uh-huh.
Unstoppable. Taking on, at least in spirit, if not in title, a sort of leadership role. Trying to rally her gals.
Yeah, and teaching me to break apart words to figure out what they mean, because I never really thought about the fact that it was called cheerleading, and that means that we were leading people with our cheers. You know what I mean? I don't think about things like that. I'm sorry.
You clearly have given cheerleading significantly less thought than I have, as we have detailed on many episodes. This kills me watching her drop her keys straight down and they somehow land directly under the center of her car.
Ow! They bounced.
Ow!
They bounced.
Yeah. And I would be worried, but I know that hair silhouette anywhere.
Seriously.
That's Angel.
Yeah, they give us the like ghost face kind of treatment here where you just see like a pair of black shoes and then you see like a shadow and you're like, who is it? I wrote in my notes, Jenny, Cordelia being a real Sebastian here. She's hiding in the dumpster. That's a Neverending Story reference for those of you who don't know. Angel, I wasn't... Okay. This is where I turn the episode off. I wasn't sure if it was you at first. I was looking for Buffy.
Unless this is, I wasn't sure it was you. I thought you might have been someone else who might know where Buffy is. This is wrong.
Yeah, it's just a little bit ridiculous. Also, I just feel like they could have figured out a pretty good reason for Angel to be looking for Cordelia to like ask where Buffy was. Yeah.
I want Angel to give me a good reason why he's wearing that jacket. What did he just go golfing? What?
Okay,
what?
Okay. It's
How
time.
is this in his wardrobe?
Is it time? It's time to talk about the jacket. Okay.
I mean,
for those of you who haven't recently watched, you probably remember anyway. Angel's one beige jacket. It is khaki colored. It is light in fabric. This is right up there with when Spike starts wearing, but like borrowing Riley's clothes, basically. I assume breaking into Riley's apartment and dorm room, whatever, and stealing his tan shirts and his olive pants. Well, and that's like that, you know, we don't always know what we can believe sometimes in the fandom wikis because they are crowdsourced. But LaToya wrote in her production notes about the beige jacket as well, because in the fandom wiki, it says that he's trying to emulate Xander because he's jealous of Xander, to your point.
But he's so old that he's like, what do kids these days wear? What would a youth wear on a date to a soda shop?
Yeah, and we don't think that this is actually... Like, I think this is more theory and less fact. Similar to a lot of the things that I might say about the as-yet-to-be-aired pilot of the Buffy reboot. Is it true? or am I a walking fandom wiki? Unclear. Okay. Angel's beige jacket is here. We're all upset about it. Maybe a little bit more upset than finding a hand in the dumpster, but we're also upset that we found a hand in the dumpster along with many other body parts. Why couldn't they just use one body? Why'd they have to
This is the question, you know? I guess because, like, following into the deep, dark, depraved, damp hole of the reasoning of, I'm going to say Eric. I'm going to say Eric is leading the charge on parts. Mm-hmm. And Chris is just the science guy.
Okay.
I'm going to say Eric is like bigger boobs, smaller feet.
Right.
Also, smaller feet. I don't know why I said that. But I was just like, parts that are different. Let's really just take the best attributes of each of these specimens. Combine them. Oh, but none of these heads will do.
Well, none of the heads will do because of the formaldehyde, which we learn later. Because the formaldehyde, they were already embalmed, so they need a fresh head. They need a fresh head for this FRANCINE-enstein girl, which is where, of course, this is what we need some assembly for. Jenny, I'm so upset that we've already...
FRANCINE-enstein.
Oh, FRANCINE-enstein! Yes, 10 out of 10. I'm upset that we've already been rambling way too much in this episode because I really wanted to tell everybody about the compost bin that I had to assemble and how difficult it was. And I there's just not time for that. So, you know, ask me about it if you want me to tell you about it in the Watcher's Diary.
Something, Kristin assembled a composter.
It was a real challenge. Anyway, you are correct about your theory, I think, with Eric being the person choosing and probably about the parts, because you just reminded me that, of course, later we'll see inside of Eric's locker where anyone keeps their scientific diagrams, of course. He has cut out various parts of various women from a magazine and assembled them together. So your theory is probably correct.
Yeah, it's giving like ooh la la.
The girls were also in a car crash, so it could be that some of the parts like weren't usable. You know, we don't know what was okay and what wasn't, but probably the patriarchy is actually the answer.
We heard this at the beginning. We heard this at the beginning of the episode as they're like discussing this whole situation, some of their parts, all of that. But the thing that really gets me is, why go to all the trouble, Buffy wonders, to dig up 3 girls only to chop them up, throw them away? It doesn't make any sense, especially from a time management standpoint.
Yes. We opened the episode with the sound clip from this scene that is Angel and Buffy and Cordelia and all of the tension between the 3 of them. And then there's 2 triangles.
Also, Angel, Xander, Angel, Rocky, Janet.
Yeah. It's just a lot. And Angel, okay, so the long and short of it is that Cordelia is like, I'm terrified. Justifiably, I will say that like Cordelia is playing to get Angel to take her home. But it is also very understandable that she'd be a bit fucking shaken having realized that she was hiding in a dumpster of the parts of other girls that had died.
Both things can be true.
Yes. But she's using it to her advantage. And she's like, I need Angel to take me home. Angel simply can't find his words. Like, why? I guess I gotta go. And Buffy's like, oh my fucking God, are you serious? I just feel like maybe Angel could have said, like, Cordelia, why don't you just wait here for a minute and then fucking Willow can take you home or whatever.
I think it's worth mentioning this very quick exchange. Buffy, could this get yuckier? Willow, they probably kept the other parts to eat. Buffy, question answered. Also, love to hear that Willow could have done this. Willow could have done this surgical cutting.
Yeah.
Glad to hear about her knife skills.
Yeah, also Giles fucking rude, okay? Do you remember when Snyder and Giles were having their conversation and Snyder was like, kids are stupid, kids suck. And Giles was like, I beg to differ. They have promise and blah, blah, blah. And then meanwhile, Giles in the next breath is like, no student would be smart enough to know how to do anything. And Will was like, actually, Giles, there are like at least 5 or 6 guys in my science class that could, and so could I. Rude.
Support for the show comes from Factor. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. 2 minutes! How long does it usually take you to make a meal? 10 minutes? 20 minutes? 30 minutes? Think about all of the things you could do with all of those minutes you could reclaim when you just heat up and enjoy a Factor meal. You could catch up on listening to your favorite podcast. You could do a bunch of push-ups. You could go outside and smell a flower. Smell a bunch of flowers. You're getting so many minutes back. No matter what you're getting up to, Factor can power your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring because Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. What was my favorite thing I ate from my most recent Factor box? Thanks so much for asking. It was the Thai almond chicken with roasted sweet potatoes and ginger, sesame, green beans. Thank you very much. Delicious. Get started at factormeals.com/buffering50off and use code buffering50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code buffering50OFF at factormeals.com/buffering50OFF for 50% off plus free shipping.
If you've ever shopped online, and let's face it, who hasn't? Chances are you've bought something from a business powered by Shopify. You know that purple Shop Pay button you see at checkout? The one that makes buying so incredibly easy? That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it, because Shopify makes things easier, and not just for shoppers. They make it easy to start and run your business. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. It gives you a leg up from day dot, with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand style so you can get up and running fast. You can tackle your important tasks, from inventory to payments to analytics and more, all in one place. You can also spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools built for you to find and keep new customers. And remember that iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already know and love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey folks, we're the hosts of Comic Sans, the podcast about comics for those who are sans knowledge. I'm Yen.
And I'm Nat. Comic Sans is a show for people who are new to comics, like me.
And people who love them, like me. I make Nat read some of my favorite works in the medium, including Saga, Daredevil, and The Flintstones.
And Yan talks about what makes that comic special.
We've just launched Season 3 of Comic Sans, with new episodes every 2 weeks.
And you can binge the first 2 seasons wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so tragedy, this episode, and LaToya said the same, and we didn't do big thoughts, but like, I came into this episode being like, this is such a silly Monster of the Week episode. And then I was like, actually, I really enjoyed this. This is a pretty good fucking episode. This is like, I think, a decent example of what a Monster of the Week episode can be. We have the Monster of the Week of it all, but we also get the Xander Cordelia paving underneath. We get Angel Buffy stuff. And we also get like a real, like, sad thing. We go to Chris's house next, and Chris is Daryl's brother, and their mom hasn't left the house since her son died. Okay, like, this is fucking sad as shit. She's sitting in the house. She's not left. She's chain smoking cigarettes, and she's just watching videos of Daryl playing football. Daryl was 19 years old. He just died last year. Like, this is devastating. And also then putting Chris in that context, right, as the kid that's left behind, who not only lost his brother, but also lost his mom. Like, he's just alone in this house. That doesn't really justify cutting up girls for their parts. But I will at least say that there's like some real sad shit happening in this family.
Also, like, what's to become of Chris and Eric after this episode?
Yeah, right? I know. I feel like Eric's going to get in trouble, but Chris won't. Like, just because, like, Chris was nicer. I did look up, and this actor is 28. Ingo Newhouse, who plays Daryl, he's 28 years old as of... Why? Why did they cast a 28-year-old to play a 19-year-old? It doesn't make any sense to me.
That sentence, especially in 2025, is great.
Okay, so back at school, they're searching lockers. God, you know how many times they've searched lockers inside of, 12 plus 2, 14 episodes? That's so many times. So many locker searches up at the top here.
When was the last time they searched a locker?
Buffy punched her hand through the locker for the ventriloquist dummy. They've searched lockers a few times, enough times for me to feel like it's a lot. And Jenny, I don't know if you know this about me, but I only state facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get some sort of fact-checking like bot, or what do they have in places? What are the news sources?
Oh my God. We're fired. We're actually, this is the end of the end of the episode. At the end of the podcast. Chris's locker is basically a framed picture that says, "I did it." It's like Grey's Anatomy, it's just everything that you possibly...
I heart cutting up girls.
Yeah.
And then in Eric's locker, there's the little arts and crafts Bride of Frankenstein collage.
Yeah. I mean, Giles reaches into Chris's locker and pulls out a newspaper that has a picture of 3 cheerleaders and says, "Tragic accident kills 3.
Yeah. Giles is like, "Oh, I have this same issue. It's just missing the red circle."
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So going to the lab, so there's a basement and there's a lab, right? Like there's work Daryl lives in the basement of their home, and that's like where some shit happens. But then there's also the like lab at Sunnydale High that is abandoned, and that's where like the operating happens. So this is the lab because the body is there. Eric is saying, how's my baby? I'm sorry. But I wrote, Jenny, I really think that this episode is laying some groundwork for the trio, which I already mentioned, but also like not just the trio, but the Buffy bot, right? Like this is assembling. Oh, Jenny got the poutiest face because she loves the Buffy bot so much.
I love the Buffy bot. Do you think they'll have a Buffy bot in the reboot?
Oh my God, maybe.
Probably not. I'd be so happy, but I feel like they won't do it.
But this idea of nerds, nerds assembling a girl. There's a twist here in that Chris is assembling this girl because he loves his brother and he didn't want his brother to stay dead, and his brother is all alone. So there's less of like a ick factor when you look at it from Chris's perspective. But Eric is here to be the Warren of it all and be assembling this girl for his own gain, So the grossness of it all is still very present. And very, I think it's just the FRANCINE-enstein. FRANCINE-enstein walked so Buffy bot could run.
I would actually argue that FRANCINE-enstein never walks.
Okay, fine. So...
Sorry. We didn't mention that while they were going through the lockers, Willow was really stoked to find an issue of Scientific American she hadn't yet read.
Yeah, true. Bears mentioning. Oh, Eric is a lot of things. Most of them are fucking gross. But I do love that in all of this, he found time to develop his own photos, He's got photos hung up but they're still wet. It's a lab and a photo lab. It's all anything a lab can be. This lab is. He's got photos of Buffy, Willow, and Cordelia hanging up because, of course, he needs to choose a head. He's gonna let Daryl choose the head, which is nice. That's friendly.
More on that in a minute. But first, Buffy's like, "Why make a girl? Why not, just live your life?" And Xander's like, "Oh yeah, because there's all these pre-made girls laying around. Some people don't see what's right in front of them. They want the unattainable." He's looking at Buffy saying this. Willow's looking at him saying this. Mm-hmm. We're looking at each other saying this. People, like, listen to these people.
But there's, I think that there's deep truth to this. People want what they can't have, It's like one time I dated a girl for shocking. One time I dated a girl, but I've been in a relationship where I knew the relationship was not right, and the other person was like, this relationship isn't right, and the minute that was said, I was like, no, yes it is, it's definitely right. It's human nature to reach for something when we feel like it's being taken away from us, and so I do think that this is a solid point. However, I'm not sure it applies to making a why do I have to call it Frankenstein? FRANCINE-enstein. I gotta go.
Oh, man.
All right. Speaking of love.
Call me Frankie. FRANCINE-enstein is my father.
Oh, yes. Speaking of love, Willow and Xander and Buffy see Giles. Oh my God, Giles, you fool, you absolute fool. He's just waiting for Jenny Calendar. And I think we're going to listen to these two crazy kids.
I mean.
Good morning, Rupert.
Miss Calendar.
Oh, no, please, call me Jenny. Miss Calendar's my father.
Jenny, then. Jenny, would it appear indecorous? No, not indecorous.
Yeah?
Well,
Rupert, look, I've got to get inside and set up the lab.
What I'm proposing...
I gotta go. Sorry.
Idiot.
Hey, listen, if it's important, why don't you just tell me at the game?
Game? Oh, you're going to the football game?
Yeah, you seem surprised.
No, I just assumed that you spend your evenings downloading incantations and casting bones.
On game night, are you nuts? You're going too, right?
Oh, of course. Always do.
So we should just go together. Look, I could pick you up after school and we'll grab a bite to eat on the way if you like. How do you feel about Mexican? Good, okay. And then whatever it is you want to tell me, you can just tell me then, okay?
Okay. Tonight, then. That went well, I think.
Oh, yeah, that went well, Giles, by your design. It's going just as you planned.
It's very cute. Something that we couldn't talk about in our first run, and I think something that didn't even sit in my heart so heavily in our first run is where this is headed. Like, we all know that they are going to be in love and that Jenny is going to die and that it is going to be fucking devastating. And I think, when I watched this with you the first time, Jenny, for the podcast, their love wasn't as rooted in me, So I knew it was going to happen, but I wasn't super there for these moments. And now Giles' loss, really even more so than their love, sits very heavy in my heart. And so these moments really kill me in thinking of the bigger arc here. Giles, that whole scene happens, and when Giles walks away, he does a little hop. It's exactly the hop that my cat Sam does when she's so excited because we're gonna play. It's yay! And he's so happy, and it's so sweet. And this show, if you don't know this already, the show is not going to let you have anything nice. Okay, so
no,
let you know.
No nice things here.
No nice things. All right. Now we're in the actual science lab in Sunnydale High, and Giles is here to report that 3 heads were found, so they have no head. And Chris and Eric aren't in school today. If we needed any more underlining of who's doing this and what they need, here we go.
Yeah. How do they know? Bold of them to assume that there wasn't another head somewhere.
Right, that they've simply found another, a different head.
Yeah.
Down in the basement.
There's 14 cemeteries. It's the city limits, Kristin.
But they can't get a head from the cemetery, Jenny. They have to get a living head.
It just sort of indicates that teens could be dying all the time.
Right. Oh, yeah, okay. True.
There are a lot of teens within the Sunnydale city limits.
God, it wasn't that long ago when fucking what's-his-face with the ventriloquist dummy needed a brain. We're always needing live heads and live brains,
Yeah, I wonder if they could have teamed up. Do you think that... Do they need the brain? They need the brain to
They do, because,
okay. That's the thing that's compromised by the formaldehyde. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Scientists. Professor Jenny Owen Young, Professor Kristin Russo here. We know.
You've seen my lab coat.
So, we're in the basement, and it's not a reveal to us anymore, but Daryl's here, and he's saying, "You promised me, little brother, that I wouldn't be alone." Chris does not want to kill anyone. Same dynamic as the Moloch duo. One who's actually evil and is fine killing anyone, and the other one who's just trying to do something, and they don't know why or how.
Yeah, this is quite sad. I wrote in my notes, when we see Daryl for the first time, this is the most adult teen I have ever seen in my life.
He's the coach of the football team. He is not.
And not in a young, hot coach like Coach Bent,
no,
nearly a peer of his coachees, but rather an adult man.
Speaking of coaches, I wrote in my notes, 3rd and long, seconds to go. Where do you throw? Number 5. Daryl's going to drive. Clear eyes, full hearts.
So
Love you, Tammy Taylor. One day I hope to do a Friday Night Lights podcast. One day.
Oh my god. Eric shows Daryl the photos and he's like, which one? And he's like, he picks Cordelia, his ex-girlfriend, showing no signs of recognition.
I don't think that's what the deal is. That's how I originally read this episode, but I don't think Cordelia and Daryl were an item. I think that's what I was saying to you at the top. I think that Cordelia is younger than Daryl, and I think that Cordelia was like pining for Daryl, and Daryl broke her heart because he wanted nothing to do with her. And I think we kind of get that a bit later on in their conversation, but maybe I misinterpreted. I'm not sure.
Okay, pardon me for getting rocked by this, because it feels like everything in this earlier conversation between Buffy and Willow is pointing towards they dated.
Yeah, and I think the way that
Cordelia's riff about painful memories about Daryl. All the girls were crazy for him. He broke Cordelia's heart. He died. Okay, and that's all that is said. It just felt... Sorry. My brain filled in some blanks.
I think it's a fair... Yeah, I think it's a fair read. But when it got to the end, I was like, oh, I see. Like, her heart was broken because she couldn't get this guy. I mean, when you think about it, for Cordelia, that's astounding, right? Like,
yeah.
Which is kind of like hit again at the end of this episode with the Xander of it all.
Do we think that informed his picking Cordelia? He was like, this will work out well because she was into me.
Either way. Oh my God. Either way, he picks Cordelia. And so very dramatically, Eric cuts Cordelia's head off in the photo and then pastes it on a very like Grey's Anatomy sketch of a body. But it's just like a scientific sketch with Cordelia's photo head pasted on top. Which,
flawless.
Like, if we think about later when Eric is just sterilizing a regular knife to cut off Cordelia's actual head, it's about how good this surgery is going to go anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Jenny, we're back in the library, and this is where we learn about the formaldehyde, blah, blah, blah. The thing that I would like to point out here is that they're going to split up. The action for the Scooby Gang is they're going to split up. Okay, Buffy's going to go to... Why are you laughing?
Because everybody has a task and we need all hands on deck. But Giles is like, well, isn't there some way where the best place for me to be would be at the big game?
Right. And so this is funny and adorable and I love it. However, I'm also mad because I write in my notes, could maybe Giles reflect on his judgment and sort of scolding of Buffy with the Owen of it all a few episodes ago? Like, here's Giles, the Watcher, who's, I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but he's actually getting paid to do the work that he does. He's actually getting
currently collecting 2 salaries.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think wanting to go on a date is very understandable when it's not like you just have one demon to fight and that's the end of it. Well, like this is your fucking day job. You're doing this shit all the time. You want to be able to also like have some recreation. And I just wish that perhaps Rupert, you might reflect on the fact that what the heart wants what it wants, sir. Mm-hmm. And that applies to yourself and to Buffy Summers. Okay.
Also, we're trying to prevent a murder?
Yeah, and also Buffy is like, okay, Dad, go to the game. Like, she's fine with it.
So she goes to Chris's house, interacts with Chris's mom, who is, elsewhere.
Yeah.
Heads downstairs. And hey, did you notice that these basement stairs look exactly like the Summers house basement stairs? Complete with heavy bag, etc.
I actually didn't notice that because I was too busy thinking, why would you spackle the wall if you're not going to paint it? Like, why do all basements have the drywall up and then also the mud or the spackle, however you refer to it? Like, you only do that because you're going to paint it. So either put the drywall up and don't bother with the spackle, or put the spackle up and paint it. Why do all basements have this shit? I don't get it.
Unknown. Did I tell you that I recocked my shower this weekend?
You know what, Jenny? You did, and I have been meaning to be angry about it, the fact that you did not like my joke. So we were supposed to record this episode on Saturday night, and life is hard, okay? So I was like, Jenny, I don't know if I can fucking do it. I am barely standing. And Jenny was like, well, I'm recocking my bathtub, and I'm not done yet, so I'm probably going to have to finish after dinner. And I wrote back to Jenny, and I said, so would you say you're half cocked? And she didn't even reply.
Sorry. That was a very funny joke. One day in the future, when you're recocking your shower, I promise you that you're not going to have time for anybody's jokes. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have it in your soul at that time.
I mean, because the opportunity to say half cocked and actually have it be accurate, like that, it's a rare moment. And I was so excited.
All right. And yet another digression. That is my fault. I'm sorry for bringing it up.
No, that was worth it for me because now everyone can know about my joke that you ignored.
Boy.
All
so
right.
Buffy finds the Cordy's head on top of an anatomical drawing artwork. And Daryl's creeping out from the shadows, but then there's a noise and Daryl goes into the shadows and Buffy scampers out the basement window.
Seriously. Cordelia in peril, like really, really heavy theme in these beginning episodes of the series. Cordelia has really been the object of like the thing sought after for murder, for facial deconstruction, for beheading, for it's just a lot of people after Cordy.
Hot girl privilege? More like hot girl peril. Am I right?
You are.
I mean, she is kind of, it's interesting. I guess we sort of like rotate through various people in this show being the damsel, which obviously is a heavily gendered concept. But, you know, in When She Was Bad, we had 4 damsels and one of them was Giles.
Totally.
Anyone could be a damsel on this show, but I feel like Cordelia is frequently, and maybe just by virtue of being... it's interesting because she is like the quote hot girl,
right?
The quote mean girl, and also she's like very strong and self-possessed, but she also has very interesting vulnerability that surfaces periodically. I don't know. It's just I love Cordelia, I think is really all I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, and I love Cordelia too, but I do think that it's kind of interesting to reflect on when you. Because the show does, I mean, you know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the show definitely does not put damsels specifically in distress, right? Like, I think that we can say that is not the case. But I think that 14 episodes in...
damsels and dudesels.
What's that show? What's that song about... fucking weasels and woozles. You know what I'm saying? You know
I do
not.
Oh,
yes.
Heffalumps
and woozles. I literally Googled song about woozles to find it. Heffalumps and woozles, damsels and dudesels. Love it.
Perfect.
This is a great song. And you know what? You got to link to your My Little Pony song. So I'm linking everyone to Heffalumps and Woozles in the show notes this week.
I hope everyone enjoyed. I'll go it alone.
Okay. Why damsel? Oh, let me finish my point, which is that in these first 14 episodes, I do think that Cordelia is in distress disproportionately for the rest of the series. And since the whole show is premised on, right, we open, it's Darla. Oh, you think it's the girl that's in danger, but fucking joke's on you. She's the vampire. And oh, Buffy is a slayer. She's a tiny petite girl. How could she be the one fighting? But she is. It is a little bit odd or telling that we still have the Cordelia as this, damsel in distress so often at the top. And maybe they got that feedback, and maybe that's why we don't see it as much moving forward. But anyway, LaToya was so tickled that Joy, the cheerleader from fucking Witch, still is here and is like in the hallway with fucking Cordelia for this.
Dude, Cordelia has a game to think about. She doesn't need losers like you. His fucking line.
Yeah, I literally wrote that line out and then I wrote, was anyone actually mean like this in high school? I don't think.
Was anyone actually at the keyboard when this line of dialogue was written?
Oh, regardless. In the locker room. So Cordelia is in the locker room and Chris pops up and she's like, first of all, she's like, Chris, is something wrong? She's not like, Chris, ew, what the fuck are you doing in the girls' locker room?
Why are you in this locker room?
Yeah. Eric puts a bag over Cordelia's head and when Buffy gets there, she finds fucking Eric and does a flying kick to Eric's face.
We simply love seeing Eric getting kicked in the face.
I really do. I'm really surprised at how quickly this boy gets up and runs because, I mean, you just got a Slayer kick to the face.
Yeah.
Cordelia has to go, Jenny. She is the apex. I thought of you because you love talking about cheerleading roles. Do you know what the apex is? I mean, probably you could fucking sound it out, but.
That's on the top of the A.
On the top
of the pyramid.
Top of the A, yeah. Top of the A.
She's got to go do that. Eric's got to run home to Chris's laboratory and talk to Daryl, who's Godzillaing out. They're going to team up.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is like, Buffy, you don't understand. My brother is lonely after I reanimated his corpse. Out on the football field, the cheerleaders are cheering. Giles is absolutely disdainful about American football, which is great. Jenny Calendar calls football the American pastime, which I'm sorry is simply not correct. Nice try. Baseball is the American pastime?
That is true.
Go Sox?
That is true. Giles' dig that Jenny mentioned on American football is, it's rather odd that a nation that prides itself on its virility should feel compelled to strap on 40 pounds of protective gear just in order to play rugby. Zing. This episode really underlining how negging actually turns everyone on, okay? Because...
I mean...
Right. I mean, Jenny is like, hey, is this your normal strategy for a first date? Dissing my country's national pastime. Sorry, Jenny, for saying it again. Giles setting up the 1-2 punch of it all. Did you just say date? So, Robia Lamort, a lot of things, especially in the current day. However, in this television show, playing Jenny Calendar, she does a fucking great job. I love that she, and to her credit, to the director's credit, et cetera, but we get this, did you just say date? You notice that, huh? And then it plays off at the end when she says second date, and she says, you notice that, huh? And I just love the fact that she plays the first one super sexy, which is like where we're used to Jenny Calendar going, you know? She's like, you notice that, huh? And she does like a fucking smirk and a wink and like takes off all her clothes without taking them off. Yeah, I don't know.
Guess where I dangle my second date?
I don't understand that kind of feminine wiles personally, but she does all that. And then at the end of the episode, she's like, you notice that, huh? And it's like really caring and sweet and gives us like the knowledge that this is not just this like sexy, fun thing for her or him, but like that something's happening here. And that is all in the delivery of the same line, which I thought A+.
Love it.
Also A+ for Jenny's circle belt. This is kids of the 90s, you will remember it. It was many silver circles connected by some faux leather material that you'd wrap around your waist and call it a belt. Great job. Jenny, also, I'm sorry, I have a lot of notes. Go Razorbacks, go team, go. Go Razorbacks, go team, go. This is the only fucking thing these cheerleaders are saying. I would like for them to step it up, okay? I'm not being led by their
poetry.
Cheers.
It certainly lacks poetry.
It really does.
It's not preventing Daryl from wistfully watching gameplay from below the bleachers, and LaToya noted, as did I, this is veering awfully close to do 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 do.
Jenny, I'm gonna do an impression of Daryl that only you will be able to witness because podcasting is not at least it wasn't a visual medium, and for us currently still isn't, though everyone is making it a visual medium. But this is what Daryl looks like.
Kristin's lower lip is jutting out and quivering.
He literally does quiver lip. Like, it's so funny. I can't. Okay. Cordelia fucking goes to get a drink of water and is kidnapped again. The girl can't walk 4 steps without getting...
Twice in one episode.
Oh, this is classic football, okay? Fucking every time a football game is played and a touchdown is scored, something bad is happening. And you can't hear it because the fucking stadium is going wild. It's just, it's right.
Stop yelling at football games. People are getting murdered because of you.
Exactly. They say football's a dangerous sport. You'd think they mean about the football players, but actually it's for everybody else.
It's dangerous for everyone.
Yeah.
On the field and off.
Chris and Buffy are looking for Cordelia, and she's not. Cheering off to the abandoned Sunnydale laboratory where Cordy is strapped to a fucking gurney. You hate to see it.
Oh my God. Daryl's apology speech would be so touching if things were just a little different.
When you wake up, you'll have the body of a 17-year-old. In fact, you'll have several. I'm like, she literally already does.
She already has that body. Yeah. Also, Cordelia swearing she won't scream and then immediately screaming is the most Cordelia thing.
Yeah. Cordelia has a lot of screaming to do in this episode. And Charisma Carpenter, great job on variations of a scream. She gave us many different kinds. And I love it.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Oh my God. Buffy enters. She's like, not on my watch. And Daryl's like, I'm going to very quickly cut off Cordelia's head before you could stop me. And then there'll be nothing you can do. I won't live alone. Then, oops, a fire gets started. Okay, Xander's untying Cordelia. Giles finally pressed pause on his date to show up and help. The thing that kills me the most about this scene is that while Buffy and Daryl are fighting, Daryl has to like pause to flip his hoodie hood back over his shoulder in a way that only a 28-year-old man and above could do. His hood gets in his way. It's flapping around while he's fighting. And then he's like, oh, let me just flip it back. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, a classic Bunsen burner accident. This is why Bunsen burners are also so...
This is why we got to get Bunsen burners out of school. Football off of fields.
The Bunsen burner falls and it hits the spilled gasoline.
Oh my God, who spilled the gasoline?
Daryl, when he was flipping the hood over his fucking shoulder.
Daryl gets a desk over his head and he's about to smash it down on Buffy when Chris emits a shriek.
Mm-hmm.
So shattering that it stops Daryl in his tracks.
Yeah. He says, don't do it. And Daryl listens. He drops the desk and not on Buffy's head. And then this is sad? Question mark. I don't know how to feel about this.
It's complicated. There are no winners in this episode except Giles and Miss Calendar.
Yeah. Daryl lays on top of the headless FRANCINE-enstein and says, we will be together always. Mine, as he burns and she burns.
I just feel like, is the message of this episode, don't reanimate the dead?
Yeah.
Perhaps?
Yeah. Yes. Don't reanimate your brother, okay? Just don't. A couple of things of note. First of all, Xander, you said Xander is untying Cordelia, but he can't untie her. He does not get her untied. And so the flames are between where they are and where the exit is. And so Xander fucking runs and wheels the table on the table. Like he jumps up as it rolls through the flames to save Cordelia. This is pretty fucking great. This is a pretty fucking good move.
Yeah, this plus Speedo equals, okay,
yeah,
I see it.
Yeah, shrug emoji, okay, I get it. I can see it. And then a little bit larger of a thing that I just wanted to note before we get to the the fire that Angel saw, which sent him running. Buffy must be there. But where's Buffy? Where is she near any other men? I must find out. But there's a quick exchange between Chris and Buffy under the bleachers before they get to this whole fucking scene that we just talked about. And Buffy says to Chris, you can't just give and take lives like that. It's not your job. This is like one of the biggest heartbeats of Buffy's internal struggle for the entirety of the series. The giving and taking of lives. What is and is not her responsibility? What is and is not anyone's responsibility? And where is that line? And so it's like a quick thing here, but I just felt like, oh, it's already here with us. This is already sitting with her. And it's already like a message that's being, put throughout the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Oh. Xander and Willow bemoaning.
Yeah, let's
listen.
Let's hear this.
Well, I guess that makes it official. Everybody's paired off. Vampires get dates. Hell, even the school librarian sees more action than me. You ever think that the world is a giant game of musical chairs and the music stopped and we're the only ones who don't have a chair?
All the time. Xander, I just wanted to thank you for saving my life. What you did in there was really brave and heroic, and I just wanted to tell you if there was anything I could ever do to...
Do you mind? We're talking here. So where were we?
Wondering why we never get dates.
Yeah, so why do you think that is?
Xander. This really made me think about... So I don't remember the name of the episode where... Cordelia is impaled, and she has just seen Willow and Xander kissing and cheating on her, essentially. And the way that Cordelia looks, she's been through hell. She's just been tied to a table and pushed through flames. She doesn't look like the Cordelia that we know in this moment. She's kind of like dirty. Her makeup is not really like super present. And she looks really vulnerable. And she is really vulnerable. And I don't remember seeing her like this any other moment except for in that hospital bed or in her own bed. I don't remember whose bed she's in, but like after she is impaled and she's so hurt and destroyed and heartbroken and vulnerable on the other end of this relationship. And I don't know that was an intentional book ending, but I do think that it's worth noting that this vulnerability from Cordelia is something that we don't really see a lot. And she really embodied, like, it hurts me when Xander ignores her. It's not like a laugh thing. I mean, the lines are played for a laugh of like, oh, I wonder why we never get dates. But the moment isn't played, I don't think, for a laugh. Yeah. And, you really... I didn't care necessarily about her feelings about Daryl earlier when she got the there, but at the end, it's like, well, she really is fucking saying, she really is expressing emotion here, and she's trying to connect, and she's being ignored, and I hate it for her. But I also hate for her that she's going to date Xander. So, you can't win.
No, there's no winning.
Okay, so Xander, Cordelia, sure. But also Buffy and Angel. They began as a pair of bickering hens. And that really tracks for me because Angel is nothing if not a fucking hen. You know what I'm saying? But they're ending the episode in a bit of a different place. And yes, did we play you a sound clip of Xander and Willow and Cordelia? Mm-hmm. But is it our podcast? And can we play you this fucking Bangel clip? Yes, we can.
God, the whole thing was so creepy. And at the same time, I mean, he did do it all for his brother.
Sounds like he took it a little over the edge.
Love makes you do the wacky.
What?
Crazy stuff.
Oh. Crazy, like a 241-year-old being jealous of a high school junior?
Are you fessing up?
I thought about it. Maybe it bothers me a little.
I don't love Xander.
Yeah, but he's in your life. He gets to be there when I can't. Take your classes, eat your meals, hear jokes and complaints. He gets to see you in the sunlight.
I don't look that good in direct light.
It'll be morning soon.
I should probably go. I can walk you home.
Oh no, I was singing the Snoopy song, but with doo-doos.
Charlie Brown song, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she should probably go, but she's gonna walk him home, and they're gonna hold hands.
He holds her hand. Listen, Jordan Catalano holding Angela Chase's hand, top #1 hand-holding moment in television history. This is a cute handhold, though. This is high up.
Angel needs to stop being a coward and do what countless Salvatores and Cullens have done before him and matriculate. Angel, never been kissed. Let's go.
But this, I mean, we'll be chewing on this for a long time. Xander
are in love.
They are in love, but can they be in love? They are in love, but he can never take classes with her, eat meals with her. Well, I mean, he will get to eat ice cream that one time. But, he's not able to live alongside her the way that he wants her to have because he loves her. It's just a conundrum,
I know.
It's a conundrum. And, we're going to, wow, this season contains surprise and innocence, kids. We're going for a fucking ride. So
much to look forward to.
But for now, it should be noted, they hold hands and they walk into like one of the most beautiful cemetery mists I've ever seen.
Stunning.
And we pan down on the grave of Daryl, who
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. And I'm glad. Daryl's happy. He didn't want to be living in the reanimated corpse of himself. So
did they rebury him?
Rebury his ashes?
Yeah.
They could scatter his ashes atop the soil. Yeah. Well, Jenny.
Speaking of ashes scattered atop soil, literally and figuratively, ? I'm Jenny Owen Youngs. When I'm not making this podcast with Kristin, I make music. You could find my entire discography on your streaming platform of choice. You can also find it physically via my website, jennyowenyoungs.com, or at your favorite local independent record store. You can give me a shout on socials at Jenny Owen Youngs, and you can give me a shout in real life at my upcoming shows. May 30th in Saratoga Springs, New York. May 31st in Shirley, Massachusetts, and June 1st in a place in New Hampshire that is either called Tamworth or Shakarua, which I'm probably mispronouncing, but which I look forward to learning how to pronounce correctly when I go there on June 1st. Find info and tickets at jennyowenyoungs.com/tour.
Beautiful. Saratoga, no big deal, Jenny. Saratoga Springs is where you're playing your show, but Saratoga also contains a little music venue called SPAC, the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, which is where I saw the Lilith Fair. So it all comes back around.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm Kristin Russo, and when I'm not talking to Jenny about Buffy the Vampire Slayer or trying to feed my child, I can't stop thinking about all of the people out there that are feeding their children from their bodies, because let me tell you what, I have started doing this full time and I don't understand how anyone functions. I don't know if I'll be able to continue the podcast if you're out there and you are keeping your child alive by things you create inside of your own body. God damn it. How are you doing it? This is impossible. Find out more about not that on my website at KristinNoeline.com. KristinNoeline. You can use that spelling to find me on social media as well.
Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on socials at BufferingCast. You can email us at hello@bufferingcast.com.
Please support us. You can become a patron at patreon.com/bufferingcast. Or hey, if you haven't bought our book yet, you can buy it and read it or buy it and listen to it. It's called Slayers, Every One of Us.
This episode was produced by Kristin Russo, Jenny Owen Youngs, and LaToya Ferguson, with support from our consultant, Mackenzie McDade. It was edited by John Mark Nelson. And till next time, woo!
What's up with this grave? You know yesterday It had a girl in it, but now she's away. They're using her parts and other girls' parts. Could this be more disgusting? Cordelia found parts. When Daryl was in high school, he played football till he fell from some rocks and died. Then his science nerd brother brought him back to life. Now he's looking for a zombie bride. Yeah. Eric's a dick. These dudes are so sick. They just need a head to finish, and Cordelia's their pick. So during the game, they whisked her away. But the abandoned science building will soon be in flames. When Daryl was in high school, he played football till he fell from some rocks and died. And his science nerd brother brought him back to life. So he's looking for a zombie bride. Giles and Jenny Calendar went on a date. Hope they do it again. Well, you know what they say. Librarians and techno-pagans always find a way. When Daryl was in high school, he played football till he fell from some rocks and died. Then his science nerd brother brought him back to life. But he'll never have a zombie bride. And Cordelia's still alive.
Wow.
Wow.
I couldn't remember what happened in this song until I just listened to it. And I gotta say, with the exception of it had a girl in it, but now she's away. That feels like I was starting to feel the weight of writing one of these every week. But other than that, I feel pretty like for a song that's not one of my favorites, I feel like this does what it needs to do.
Yeah, this is a fucking bop. You got the shaker. I hear the shaker that you made into a rain stick in the in Nightmares. It reappears and it's in its natural state and being used as a shaker. Yeah. And I love a parts rhyme. You know, that shit fucking gets me. I love it.
That I liked. I like the sort of like boo-doo-doo-doop, sort of like the very choppy feeling verses. The choruses like make me think of like he shot Liberty Valance or something. Like they have like a very sort of like 50s 60s sort of like classic kind of vibe.
Yeah.
The chorus parts, and I like that. I like the decision that we made to include to make a the clouds have parted for one brief moment bridge. Don't worry, something nice happened.
Yeah.
Jenny Calendar and Giles are gonna kiss. Yay! And then the callback to Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest song, in which we ask, will Cordelia die? Thank God she made it.
Oh, yeah.
Cordelia's still alive is the last line of the song, just tracking her progress of being alive.
Of being a damsel, not a dudesel in distress. This is a fun bop. And also, you know, this is like, you're still really in the beginning stages of practicing sort of mixing in multiple instruments, right? Like this is the beginning of like, you have a shaker, you have the guitar, you have like, you're layering stuff, and it's the beginning of that for you, which is fun to also track. We track, is Cordelia alive? And how many different tracks does Jenny have to mix this week?
Yeah. And that's our Hellmouth.
Hell yeah.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
On our podcast, Good Bad Billionaire, we explain how the world's billionaires made all their money.
Pop stars and tech titans, founders and filmmakers, inventors and investors, we cover them all. And for the first time, we're talking about a video game designer.
Yep, we're talking about Marcus Persson, the Swedish coding king who programmed the world's most successful game, Minecraft, all by himself.
He made $1 billion, but is he good, bad, or just another billionaire? Find out on Good Bad Billionaire. Listen on the BBC app or wherever you get your podcasts.